Hi, good morning. So we're looking at the professional development in health and social care. Now we're going to be looking at learning outcome 4. So let's scroll down. So learning outcome 4 is be able to use models of reflective practice to evaluate your own development. So there are 3 assessment criteria. 4.1, compare models of reflective practice. 4.2, use reflective practice to improve your performance. And 4.3, evaluate the effectiveness of reflective practice. I just pop this on slideshow and then we'll make a start. There we go. So when we're looking at reflective practice, it's important to know what reflection is. So we're just going to have a little look at reflection of behaviours and performance. So the reflection for our purposes is all about just like getting to know and understanding and interpreting different forms of information. So you're looking at results, observations, data. So you're looking at everything that you're doing in a nutshell. So reflection is there to help you to evolve your own actions and to get more impact. So you're going into, you've done a task, you've gone on and you've done some training, or you've been into work and you're just thinking back about what you've done. So reflection is when you're thinking back. You're thinking about what you did right, what you did wrong, what you could change, what you'll keep the same. So that is what we call reflection. And we do it consistently without even realizing it. So it can be a group activity where you talk to others and reflect back on. So it might be with colleagues, it might be with management. And then reflection is there to help you to accelerate your performance, to help you improve. And it will also be there to give you more opportunities to just see what you can do and maybe go ahead on a different path or a different training course. So 4.1, compare models of reflective practice. We're going to look at a few models of reflective practice here. So we've got the Jasper ERA cycle. Now the ERA cycle, which was created by Jasper in 2013, is quite a simple model of reflection, and it only has 3 stages. Now this cycle shows that you start off with an experience. So something you've been through or something that is completely new to you, so something a new experience or an old experience, and that it can be a positive or a negative experience. But it's most likely to be related to your work. So ERA, experience, reflection, action. So you experience something new or something old, you're going through an experience, you're reflecting upon it, you're thinking about what went right, what went wrong, was it beneficial to you or not, what would you change, would you keep anything the same? And then you go into action. So you're acting upon what you've thought about, you're acting upon your reflection, you're acting upon you're making changes, you're making adjustments, but you're keeping things the same. Then you're going right back onto the cycle where you're starting off with experience again. Then we've got Gibbs reflective cycle. Now, this was developed by Graham Gibbs in 1988, and it gives a structure to learning from experiences. So it's a framework and it examines experiences, and it's like in another cycle type of nature, so it goes around. So it relates itself to repeated experiences, and it helps you to learn and plan from things that went well or that didn't go well. So it's a fantastic one for reflection and evaluating. So it covers 6 stages. You've got a description of what the experience is, feelings and the thoughts about the experience, evaluation of the experience, so both good and bad. You've got an analysis, so you can make sense of what the situation was. You've got a conclusion about what you've learned and what you could have done differently, and even what you could keep the same. And then action plan for how you deal with similar situations in the future or any type of changes that you might want to make or adaptations that you might want to make. Okay? Got feeling, evaluation, analysis, conclusion, action plan, description. Then we go on to Kolb's learning cycle. Now, this is a self-reflection framework also. Now, Kolb's cycle of reflective practice is a theory which it actually argues about that we learn from our experiences throughout life. Now, this cycle has 4 stages, and they're illustrated in the diagram that I'm about to show you. So reflection is actually seen as quite an important part of the learning process. You probably heard me talk about reflection and evaluation throughout this unit consistently. So we've got the self-reflection cycle from Kolb. You've got concrete experience, so CE, so you're doing or you're having an experience. You've got RO, reflective observation, where you're reviewing or you're reflecting on your experience. You've got AC for abstract conceptualization, so you're making a conclusion, you're learning from your experience. And then you've got AE, active experimentation. You're planning things, you're trying them out, you're looking at what you've learned and you're adapting in accordance to that. You're making changes. So those are the 3 models of reflective practice that we were looking at: Jasper, Kolb, and Gibbs. Now we'll make our way on to 4.2, which is to use reflective practice to improve performance. So you've just got to review your own progress over here. So you're going to choose a model of reflection and you're going to carry out a review of your own practice. So some questions that might be an idea to look at are: what have you learned? What are the areas of improvement? You know, what sort of things went right? What went wrong? Would you keep anything the same? Overall, in a nutshell, what have you learned? And then also you can get feedback from your supervisors, colleagues, friends, just to get a bit of an idea of how you're working and share your thoughts with each other and give you a bit of an idea of what you could have done different or what was great to have been kept the same. So getting feedback from others, it helps you and it gives you an opportunity to look at yourself in a different light. So when someone gets feedback, they can think, oh yeah, this is what I should be doing, or that's a better option for me to do. So it helps them to see how others perceive them. And it has an impact on the behavioral styles, on the ways of working. You know, so you can actually work in a slightly different way. You can adapt yourself and you can think, yeah, I do, this is a good thing that I do. Or I didn't realize that I did this particular thing, or maybe I should try and adapt myself and change it so I'm working in a better way. So feedback, like I said earlier, can be given by a lot of people: friends, family, colleagues, your managers, your supervisors, your tutors, your clients. So it's endless supply of people that you can get in touch with to get feedback. As long as you feel comfortable with it, it's a good idea. So we've got an example of somebody using the reflective model to reflect back on the work. So this is an example of a student who is studying business communication. So this is a previous student that we've had at the college here. And they just carried out a self-reflection using Kolb's learning cycle. And it just gives you a good idea of what sort of things we're looking for. So I'm going to read through their reflection. So the description: so it's a business communication skills are crucial for success in the business world. So during this course, BA in Business, I have done my presentation on Amazon to be ethical. So during this presentation, I have realized there are various areas in my presentation to improve, such as interaction with people and critical arguments. So this person has described what he's doing, given it a little bit of detail there, and some areas where he could improve. Now on to feeling. So during my presentation on Amazon, I was very stressed on how to professionally interact with professional people. The good thing that I have was that I have prepared handouts and these were well structured. So I managed to deliver my presentation. But I think by doing more practice and interacting with other people will enable me to become a good presenter. So this person said what his feelings were. Now he's evaluating it. So the good thing was that I became aware of the learner at initial stages. So however, I felt that the learner was disadvantaged because they had lack of information. And then analysis. So I decided that any groups I will take in the future, I'll look at the aspects and requirements of the individual members of the group. So this is someone getting the feedback through the evaluation and the analysis. And then conclusion. So although the learner was coping through handouts provided, it should have been a good idea that I would have known what their skills were before I took over the group, so it would have been able to be adaptable. And then in the end, an action plan. I decided to keep track of learning with continuous question and answer sessions. And in addition to that, I started writing everything on the smartboard, which was not in the handout, and that this person also increased their voice projection. So what they've done is they've looked at an activity where they had a group of learners, they were setting a presentation off, they told us about what their feelings were, then they told us exactly what they feel they should have done different, where they should have been aware of what their learners' skills and opportunities were, what their weaknesses, what their strengths were. They put down an action plan saying that they're going to do certain things and that they've implemented question and answer sessions in so that they can actually understand if the knowledge is being embedded or not. So we're on to 4.3. This is where we're going to evaluate the effectiveness of reflective practice. So what is evaluation again? So evaluation is about measuring the effectiveness of something. So for example, when I'm carrying out these teaching sessions or if I'm assessing student work, I'm going to look back and say, what have I done right? What have I done wrong? Is there an area that I could have changed? Should I put in new strategies? Should I implement new skills? What sort of things? So you're thinking back on what you're doing. So I'm measuring the effectiveness of my teaching. Or if you're on the floor and you're actually working within a care environment, then you're evaluating how you dealt with the patient, what sort of strategies used, and if there was something you could have done better. So evaluation is there to help you with your practice, and you can obtain feedback and data throughout your evaluation. So you're speaking to others or just thinking back yourself. So when analyzed, this information can be used to help you to improve your own practice. So reflective practice is about becoming more self-aware. So it'll give you increased confidence. It helps you to analyze your actions, which can lead to an improvement in your practice. You can actually write it down as well. So you can physically write down what your reflections are about your practice, or you can just think it through. And it should become a part of your everyday activity, so it helps you to analyze and focus on things in greater detail. And it does, I find that for myself, when I'm carrying out reflection, it does make me improve my own practice and my own actions and my own teaching. So it's a nice thing to be getting used to doing. So it is quite beneficial. And then when you're carrying out an evaluation or you're looking at reflective practice, there's some questions that you can consider when you're doing this. So what does reflective practice help me to achieve? What is the point of this? Were there any improvements to my practice due to reflection? And then what are the benefits or disadvantages of reflective practice? So when you're writing out your assignment, these are some points that would be nice to be covered. So in total, we've looked at 3 models of reflective practice. We looked at Jasper, ERA cycle, we looked at Gibbs, and we looked at Kolb. Then we used reflective practice to improve our own performance, and we looked at an example of this. And then we looked at how to evaluate the effectiveness of reflective practice. So thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you later.